All right, guys, we are recording, and so we've got Wynn and Laura here, and I just wanted to go through tonight a couple ideas about dealing with stress. Do you guys ever deal with stress? Is that I'm not
Oh,
preaching?
yeah.
Okay, all right. So, kind of throw out there. I don't know when if you're in the talking mood tonight, but
I am. I'm feeling much better
oh,
than I was.
good.
So,
Okay. So, give me an idea. What are some things right now that you feel like are always stressing you out?
uh, that's a bad question to ask because I've been working on my stress management for years. I'm actually in a really good place right now.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. We'll talk about what you've been learning then in a bit. Laura, how about you?
I mean, and when I say stress, it's not like huge stress, but it's like my kids. Today Harmony's sick. She's coughing, has a fever, and I'm sleep deprived because Parker didn't fall asleep till after 1 o'clock last night, and so um, money issues and stuff like just things like that. Like every day, everyone has to deal with stress.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what I have to deal with.
For me, most of my stress revolves around deadlines. Like, I'm hosting a party this weekend, and I really can't do much for it until the day of, and it's kind of stressful to me because I want to just get it all done now, but I can't, and so it's just like that little monkey on my back, just like it's coming, and are you going to be prepared? So that stresses me out. Also, I get stressed when we travel, and I have to make sure I'm packing everything, and we travel a lot. Um, and another thing that stresses me out, oh, just when I hear kids fighting, like I
Yeah.
can't stand it for even 2 seconds. It just makes me want to pop their little heads. So, um, Wynn and I were actually on the phone the other day with nutrition support. She, was talking about how she was just feeling kind of crabby, and we were trying to get to the bottom of it. And nutrition support said something really interesting, which is when you eat carbohydrates and sugars, it literally gives your brain more serotonin, the stuff that makes you feel good. And so, can food make you feel better?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely can. But how long does it last, right? So there's a really cool book that I love that you guys might want to look into if you're interested. It's called 100 Days of Weight Loss Success by Linda Spangle. I love this book, and it's basically just like little things that you can think about. But she talks about in this book two different kinds of emotional hunger that we get. One she calls head hunger, and the other she calls heart hunger. And we're going to be talking about head hunger tonight. Head hunger is usually when there's some kind of internal pressure, whether it's stress or anger, resentment, something where you're clenching your fist or your jaw, or you want to chew hard things. It's the kind of anger or the kind of hunger where you have to relieve something. And this is what usually most people, when they get stressed, um, they'll go into this stress eating response. So my husband gets home from work, and most days he walks in, walks straight into the pantry, grabs a big bag of chips, and just stands there eating chips. Does that sound like stress hunger?
Yeah.
He just stands there, and you just want to mash something. And the same thing, anything like pizza or burgers that you can like really put in your mouth, and that is stress relief. And you can accomplish the same thing with a piece of gum. Most people just don't realize it. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about the stress reaction right now. Tell me what your journey's been like. You said that you've been working on ways to deal with stress. Tell me what that's been like.
Well, can I ask a question really quickly? What heart hunger is? Is
Yeah.
that just your emotional pain? Is that when you eat?
Heart hunger is when you have feelings of emptiness. If you feel abandonment or lonely or sad,
Oh, so you're
it's kind
trying
of
to
a
fill it. Okay.
yeah, heart hunger is empty feelings, and those you want creamy foods, you want ice creams, you want kind of like milky, soothing foods. That's when you sit on the couch after you get dumped by your boyfriend and you eat a whole pint of ice cream. That's heart hunger. So there's two different kinds of cravings. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. No, what was the question you asked me?
Oh, so you said that you've been working on stress techniques over the past couple of years. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. Well, this may come as a shock to you. Okay, not at all after the conversation we had, but I have a lot of mood issues, just like with depression and stuff like that. And how do you deal it? How do you balance it? And a lot of that is me figuring out and realizing in therapy and all that other stuff is you have to take time for yourself. And if you can kind of center yourself and keep yourself well balanced, then you can take things that come at you a lot easier. And food has a lot to do with that because there's a lot of bad mood foods. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can eat that can really screw you up. And blood sugar is like one of the big ones, but it's not the only one. So I guess techniques is just to be able to have time to myself, just to reflect and to study. I study my scriptures and journal writing, or to make sure that at least every day, and this is more of an emotional thing maybe than a stress thing, is to make sure that you have a little bit of time each day to do something that you love. Because it kind of builds you up, it makes you happier. And yoga is awesome. So I haven't been doing it for a long time, but I'm hoping to get clearance to start again tomorrow. But yeah, I like yoga.
Yeah,
because again, that's centering and breathing and sorry kids.
Yeah, I'm off my medications because of what I learned with this, but before I was doing this program, it was only through yoga that I could overcome panic attacks and manage my anxiety, depression. And before I had kids, I had time for an hour of yoga every day and life was good. But once I had kids and I didn't have time for that and I didn't have any other ways to manage it, I really fell apart. But getting to that point where you're realizing you're conscious, and I got to this point back in 2012 because Fritos are my stress food. Like I love my Fritos when I'm stressed. Oh man, they're huge and they're crunchy. And there was a day when I reached my hand in that bag, and I was like halfway through, and it finally hit me. I'm like, wait a minute, there is literally no limit to how many Fritos I can eat right now, and this feeling won't go away. The second I'm done swallowing it, I want another. And so being able to realize and just be aware of the fact that the food isn't going to solve the problem. And for me, where a lot of my stress is due to procrastination of upcoming deadlines, it actually just makes it worse because instead of actually taking on the problem and just getting it done, I'm spending my time eating, which makes me feel more stressed because now it's longer away, so I want to eat more. It's just this terrible cycle. Laura, what are your stress foods?
Oh, I was actually trying to think about that. I think ice cream is a big one. And I remember, man, and being pregnant was a big one too. But at the end of the day, that was like what we would do. We would put the kids to bed, and that was always very stressful. It still kind of is, but not as bad now that the girls are older. And we would plop ourselves on the couch and get our 2 great big bowls of ice cream and just eat ice cream. And literally, like, we would do that every night. And it was a stress reliever for sure for me to just enjoy that ice cream. But I'm trying to think of things during the day. I can't think of anything that I would do during the day, but I know ice cream at night, that was a big thing for me.
All right. So the first step is just finding out what it is, being aware of it, realizing that it's holding you back, right? And then we come up with our list of insteads. So once we've identified the issue, we understand where it's coming from. We realize our body isn't actually hungry. It's this immediate stress response because our brain wants to be happy. We could do the quick cop out and give it Fritos, and it's never going to quite be happy, right? Or let's talk about some other things. So Wynn was saying taking time to herself, reading her scriptures, exercising. Laura, what are some of your things that you can do, your insteads?
Exercise is a big one, and that's one that I've been working on. That's why I go to the gym 4 times. Yeah, I try to get there about 4 times a week because that's my stress relief for sure. And I was thinking today, the past few days, I haven't been able to do anything. I haven't been able to go to the gym due to illnesses and scheduling conflicts. And I'm like, I'm feeling like I need to do something for myself, like Wynn said. But trying to think of other things. I'd love to read. I just don't have time with my 4 kids. It's hard to find things like that to do for myself, and that's why I go to the gym.
Yeah, the reading. I love to read. And sometimes just like 10 minutes is just kind of a way to kind of get my head back in a happy space, because you kind of forget about what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And I do it when I'm picking up the kid at school, you know, like, because I have to sit there in the car for a while. Or you just go in the bathroom and lock the door and just say, too bad, mom's busy. You don't even have to use the toilet. You're just reading. But it is hard. Like, how do you work it around these people that want everything all the time? I don't know.
And also, something I struggled with was I knew I had to replace the food, but I was actually replacing it with something also unhealthy. I have a really bad video and like a gaming addict problem. Like, I just get on and I'll play my digital Sudoku or whatever because it takes my brain out, and I'm not doing the problem, but my brain is otherwise engaged. And so once I stopped being a food addict, I kind of turned into a gaming addict for a little while. And so I've had to wean off that and think, okay, it's not just not eating, it's actually doing something that's healthy. So my mentor sent me a list of some ideas. Let me just run through some of them with you guys and see if this is something that you could have fun with. You could just go window shopping. Like, go to Amazon. You don't have to get in your car. Just go on Amazon and look at the best dresses or the best makeup. That's kind of a fun little mental pick-me-up. Just do some online window shopping. Write in a journal. Call a friend. I call my poor family all the time. Hi, I just needed to pick me up. Can you talk for a minute? You know, call your friends. Take a long bath or a shower. Read a book. That's good one you guys said. I really like hug breaks. This is just something I kind of came up with my family. And my kids even know now. I don't even have to ask for it. But if I'm just feeling like, ah, my kids will come up and they'll say hug break, and they'll just give me a big hug, and it just melts me like immediately. So I at first came up with that and they thought it was weird, but now as soon as I'm starting to get all frazzled and wrapped up, they'll be like, hug break. And it's so great because they're not getting mad at me for being frazzled. They're just trying to help me, and they know that helps. So meditation, deep breathing, that's kind of what we were focusing on this week, or some deep breathing. Do you guys ever do that? Is that something you do, Wynn?
Yoga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Ujjayi breath with yoga, just slowing your breath, really noticing your belly filling, not just taking shallow chest breaths. When you're deep breathing, it automatically lowers the cortisol, the stress hormone in your body. It helps you feel more rational in your brain. So when you see your crave food, just literally, if you take 2 or 3 deep breaths, right when you're getting a craving, it can totally turn things around for you.
As long as it's not a very fragrant food right in front of you, right?
I'm not saying it works every time, but give yourself a fighting chance. Oxygen to your brain. When you're taking shallow breaths, a lot of your higher brain functions aren't working. Your body is just basically working on basic mode. But if you're really trying to get good mental work done, breathe, and you'll be amazed at how much more your brain can actually come up with. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when we're talking about stress response is just figure out why you're actually stressed, and then figure out what you can do to address that exact situation. So for me, that meant, these deadlines. So instead of eating, I would maybe get out a piece of paper and write down a to-do list of what I needed to do and pick the easiest thing on there and do it. And great, my stress is already starting to reduce. What do you guys think? Any other thoughts on this topic?
Yeah. Well,
I can't think of anything else. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because I'm insane, I have a planner and a to-do list and a check off. I'm that kind of a person.
It's great. It's great for stress reduction.
Yeah, if you can find a system that works well for you.
But even if you don't, like, I have random lists all over my house that I will never check off, but just writing them down, it helps my brain. I mean, honestly.
That's fine too. I'm like
Charlotte.
My kids are here.
Charlotte, that was very unprofessional, darling.
Hey girls, let's show them an example of a hug break. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys hug breaks. This is how it works. Mama's mad at the world. Okay, what do we do? Oh,
Mom,
it's that easy.
pie knife for Dad.
Okay, and Sue's out to stop. All right, so I guess our time is up because the kids are getting a little rowdy. But
we didn't mean to ruin your fun.
I need-
Is this what
see,
you
they
call
make
fun?
me feel good. All right. Okay, so figure out your instead. You know, the food is there, and yes, it'll make you feel happy for a second, but what could you do instead? And let's write a useless list that we'll never find again, or maybe Wynn puts it in her notebook and it's fantastic, but write a list, make your insteads. And when you're getting those stress feelings this week, let's just try them out and post in the support squad. Let's hear how it's going. And that's it. I'll post the playback of this in the groups, and hopefully this can help some other people who weren't able to make the call.
Sounds great. Thanks, Sarah.
All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See ya.